Welcome to This Explainer. I'm thrilled to have you here today because we're going to embark on a complete, radical teardown of outdated business methods. If you've ever looked at how an organization runs and thought to yourself, wow, this is completely broken, we just need to start over, well, you are going to absolutely love the concept we're unpacking today. We're talking about a management theory that realizes something absolutely crucial. Making tiny, incremental tweaks to a fundamentally flawed system doesn't save it. It really just prolongs the pain. So instead of asking you to merely improve your business, this theory demands that you literally blow it up and rebuild it right from the ground up.
To put this into perspective, think about it like architecture. What happens when repainting a room or swapping out the furniture just can't fix a fundamentally broken foundation? At a certain point, putting up fresh wallpaper isn't going to stop the roof from caving in, right? You're just delaying the inevitable collapse. Sometimes you literally have to bring in the wrecking ball and clear the lot. In the business world, that wrecking ball has a very specific name, and we're going to explore exactly how it swings, where it hits, and what kind of beautiful, highly functional structure it leaves behind when the dust finally settles.
Okay, so here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the radical rethink. Then, why start from scratch? Next, we'll hit the 5 implementation stages, look at the big payoff, and wrap up with the real risks involved. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The Radical Rethink. A complete redesign.
The specific term we're zeroing in on here is Business Process Reengineering, or BPR for short. BPR is the process of recreating a core business process entirely from scratch. The dual goals are improving your output quality and significantly reducing costs. And the primary vehicle driving all this massive change is the introduction of information technology. Now, the most vital thing to grasp here is the stark difference between incremental improvement and ground-up redesign. See, most businesses try to fix a bottleneck by, adding a new worker or creating a new form. BPR asks, wait, why does this process even exist in the first place? We are moving completely away from the idea of safe, gradual tweaks. We aren't just filling potholes on an old dirt road. We are bulldozing it to build a high-speed, fully optimized digital highway.
There's a quote from Sherwood Smith back in 1994 that perfectly captures the essence of this. He described BPR as seeking to devise new ways of organizing tasks, organizing people, and redesigning IT systems so that the processes support the organization to realize its goals. Notice that specific triad he mentions: tasks, people, and IT systems. You're seeking entirely new ways to organize what is done, who does it, and how technology supports it. Information technology isn't just a basic tool here. It's not just handing an employee a tablet and calling it a day. IT acts as the brand new foundation for the entire company structure. It allows for complete office automation, flexible manufacturing, paperless transactions, and lightning-fast delivery. It's the absolute enabler for radical change. Honestly, without it, you're just shuffling desks around.
Section 2. Why start from scratch? Facing the symptoms.
So, if your existing machines are constantly breaking down, your old processes are completely obsolete, and competitors are vastly outpacing you, it is time to stop applying bandages. You're dealing with the dire symptoms of an outdated organization. We're talking poor performance, massive waste, changing customer expectations that you can't even begin to meet, and severe competitor threats breathing right down your neck. The cure for all this decay? Business process reengineering. BPR injects much-needed speed and flexibility into your operations. It compresses prolonged bureaucratic processes to cut costs. It fosters innovation to give you a massive competitive advantage, and importantly, it radically shifts the focus away from internal corporate politics and right back to the customer. It's a complete paradigm shift from decay to dynamic growth.
So where does this actually happen in real life? Well, BPR isn't just some abstract academic theory. It's quite literally the reason our modern world looks the way it does. Take banking, for example. Think about the old process of getting cash. You drove to a bank, stood in line during very specific hours, filled out a paper slip, handed it to a human teller who then updated a physical ledger. BPR didn't just ask tellers to work faster, it completely reimagined the whole process using information technology, giving us ATMs and instant e-payments. That is BPR in a nutshell. It transforms how we conduct virtual meetings globally, how payroll seamlessly operates in the background without teams of accountants doing manual math, and how manufacturing and inventory control are fully automated. Every single time a streamlined online office process replaces a mountain of paperwork, you are witnessing business process reengineering in action.
Section 3. The 5 implementation stages. The execution phase.
Implementing BPR is a monumental task that brings dramatic changes, so it has to be done in 5 precise stages. Let's walk through what a complete overhaul actually looks like. First up is the envision stage. This isn't just a casual Friday meeting. This is where leadership reviews the entire strategy, targets fundamentally broken processes, and identifies exactly where IT can create a massive leap forward. Second is diagnosis. Before you swing that wrecking ball, you have to meticulously document the current flaws. You map out exactly where resources are bleeding, where hidden costs lie, and where communication entirely breaks down. Third is redesign. This is the blank canvas phase. Through intense brainstorming, you stop looking at the old way and develop a completely new process design from scratch. Fourth is reconstruction. Now, this is often the hardest part because it involves the human element. You're managing a massive migration of your workforce, transitioning them away from comfortable old habits and training them for entirely new roles based around new technology. And finally, the evaluation stage. You rigorously monitor the newly implemented process to determine if those highly ambitious quality and cost goals are actually being met or if you need further refinement.
Section 4. The Big Payoff. Why organizations do it.
Going through those 5 stages is a grueling trial for absolutely any company. But here is the payoff. When executed correctly, BPR completely strips away the organizational fat. It ruthlessly eliminates unnecessary activities, which drastically reduces your organizational complexity. Just think about how many departments operate in silos, totally focused on their own little functional boundaries and ignoring the big picture. BPR knocks down those walls. For example, instead of a product sitting in a warehouse for a week waiting for a signature from a completely separate compliance department, BPR integrates those functions immediately. It cuts out the excessive checks, the endless controls, and the reconciliation processes that cause massive delays. It provides dramatically improved viability simply by eliminating the unessential, redundant phases of management.
Ultimately, this agonizing rebuild leads you to a highly desirable destination. The overarching objective of applying BPR is to create an organization that is fiercely customer-centric, heavily streamlined, and completely free of unnecessary complexity. The entire technological, human, and organizational dimensions are fundamentally changed with one primary target in mind: delivering vastly more value to the customer and totally eliminating the friction that causes customer complaints. The whole shebang is designed to make the final output flawless.
Section 5. The real risks involved. Severe limitations. Now, before we get too carried away by the shiny new architecture and the promise of a flawless business, we have to tap the brakes for a second. Is business process reengineering a guaranteed success? The answer is a definitive no. We have to consider the very real danger of completely tearing down a functioning, albeit flawed, business. Since its inception, BPR has faced massive objections, major issues, and frankly, some spectacular failures.
So, let's look at the hard truths about BPR. First, the human cost is massive and employee resistance is huge. Because BPR often replaces manual human labor with automation and completely redefines roles, it poses a very real threat to jobs. Fear and plummeting morale can tank the process before it even gets off the ground. Second, it requires a massive, sustained financial investment in IT. You're buying new systems, servers, software, and training. This means it generally only suits large organizations with deep pockets. Smaller companies can easily bankrupt themselves trying to rebuild. Third, this approach is absolutely not a quick fix. It concentrates on long-haul income collaborations that take a long time to materialize and are notoriously hard to gauge in those first few quarters. And finally, if the diagnosis and redesign stages aren't executed perfectly, you might accidentally optimize one single department at the severe expense of the overall process. Like, you might make manufacturing incredibly fast but completely overwhelm shipping, effectively breaking the business in a brand new way.
Which leaves us with this final thought. Business process reengineering is the ultimate high-risk, high-reward strategy. It requires flawless planning, exceptional teamwork, and a complete, unwavering commitment from top leadership to start all over again. It is absolutely not for the faint of heart. So taking a close look at your own processes, you really have to ask yourself, is your organization brave enough and well-resourced enough to bring in the wrecking ball and try it? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer, and I hope this deep dive has given you a powerful new perspective on how businesses truly transform.